Welcome back to What the Flag. Look, we have had so much action going on in the flag football world this past weekend. Yes, Kenny, I can't even talk to you about what's been going on. I'll start with us, Kenny, because look, we were in Germany for Big Bowl, where the women's finals, you had a few Brits in there, but you had the Misfits versus the Coventry Cougars, Misfits taking home the win. And then on the men's side, we had Team Juice versus the hosts, the Waldorf Wanderers. And the Wanderers are pretty good at this, and they end up taking home the win there. Then we go all the way over to LA, where we had some crazy upsets there too. Canada beating the men's USA team. That was a little bit spicy. I have not watched all the film back yet, so I cannot give too much to comment on that. But even a close game for women's versus the Canada team as well. I mean, that was also close. It's really, really fascinating to see how that game's developing. And last but certainly not least, the African Championships hosted in Egypt. This was unreal. I mean,
Right.
like, first off, we definitely spoke this into existence, didn't we? When we're like, why are
Yes.
Nigeria not playing? Where are they? Yes, you said it.
Yeah, we're psychic, guys. We spoke about it in the last pod. We were like, oh, we were expecting these teams to be announced, this team to be announced. And look, as soon as we said it, they were like, oh, look, Yaz, Kenny, and Phoebe have clearly said something about
They,
this.
they,
Now
they
we've
had to
got
they
to
had to
announce.
post they had to post it as soon as possible. I think they left Nigeria like second to last in the announcements.
They did.
But good job they did. Good job Nigeria attended because, and this is my reason. So caveat, we were a big bowl. I was with I was coaching some of us, a lot of our Spanish players in the with the Red Spartans. We went 7-1 on the weekend, but we lost in the quarterfinals to the Misfits, which dumped us out of the top four. Ended up coming fifth. But my excuse, and I stand by it, is Saturday 4-0 on Saturday. Good day of football. But then Saturday evening, found out that the Nigerian men's and women's teams had won the African Championships. I was
Can't
like,
have it
yeah,
all.
cool. One, no, 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 like 1-0. Maybe a bit distracted. That's my excuse. I'm gonna stand by that. But what an achievement! Like I'm just like, flag is in the blood. That's gonna run of it. The number of messages that I had from people asking if I was either playing for them or coaching. I think people are speaking that into existence as well. So, I'm super excited to see Nigeria and some of the other African teams at the World Championships in 2026 to see what they do because that's going to be super cool. But it looked like such a fantastic event. AJ Green was there. AJ Green was in Cairo for part of the championships. That was really, really cool.
Osi was out there as well. Like all the NFL guys, all the people that are part of kind of NFL Africa that have been really on the ground supporting it for some time were out there. And that's pretty huge. I mean, it goes, again, we talk so much about Team USA and what that men's team could look like, but if Nigeria or Cameroon or whoever else from like Africa make it, think of how many NFL players are actually dual nationals,
Mm,
right? Like
mm.
that would be pretty insane to see. I mean, we need to get the list of everybody because there are a lot. I know we see throughout the season where they've got the flags of the different countries on the back of their helmets. That could be a pretty
Yeah.
dangerous spot.
And it was really cool because I think like some of the players, especially from the Cleveland Browns, who seem to have an affinity with Nigeria, Chief Njoku and company left messages wishing the team well, So it's not surprising that the team did so well. And every time I see OC, I'm doing it here. I'm calling him out again. Every time I see OC, I'm always like, so NFL Africa going to Nigeria, when are we going? And he's always like, oh yeah, we're waiting for you. We're waiting for you. Bring me in. If you tag him in this, you clip it, tell him to sort it out, organize it. I don't know if he's got Uprise Flag on Instagram, but yeah, tag him, let him know he needs to call me because I've been waiting patiently for my invitation, but the time is now.
It's great that it's got that level of traction as well, especially because we were saying before that we were like shocked at how late this it had sort of been advertised and stuff. So it feels like it really built up speed in the latter half of like that week. Announcing those teams, all of a sudden, like there was a really big like sort of rush of like attention on it, which was brilliant. I mean, the finals itself were brilliant. You had Nigeria versus Egypt for the men.
Mm.
and Nigeria versus Morocco for the women. And I believe that the semi-final was really, really close as well between the men. So it could have been either team that ended up playing Nigeria, but obviously Nigeria were
Mm.
victorious in the end. It was brilliant, brilliant to watch.
It's yeah, you're so spot on, and it's been pretty cool to like see, one of the coaches that we coach against quite often. I've played for a couple times. Coach Nicolas, who coaches the French team, he was out there coaching Morocco. I mean, there's so many people that are wanting to see this game grow. Of course, shout out to Fuzia, who was the only female head coach out there. I mean, she's
Mm.
been paving the way for so long. And it's just amazing to see. I don't know, like, what are the next steps, right? Like, how do we get, any of these teams to come and compete on a more regular basis? I think that's what we're always
Mm.
talking about. I know we're fortunate to have, say King Bowl and Big Bowl and a couple of these other bowls, all the bowls, but like it's easy enough for us to travel to. And I know we have the same conversations in tackle as well, but actually, how do we get more of that kind of cross-continent competition that we've been looking for so much with, of course, the Worlds being next year? How do you get that experience between now and then?
I
I
think
think, oh,
oh, sorry, I
no, no,
interrupted.
please,
I
please.
was just saying, I think Africa kind of, in a way, have the same problem that the US do. So, like, even when you think about European tournaments, it's really easy for you to hop over to Spain, hop over to France, and hop over to Finland and play those teams because you're only 2, 3 hours apart. Obviously, when you're in the US, and I guess it's the same in Canada, you're sort of like 2, 3 hours away from like is Nigeria to this place or Morocco to that place. So they're kind of locked within themselves because for them to travel to Europe or to Europe to travel to them, it makes it so much harder. So you have to sort of think like, how do we make this more accessible? Because really, I guess in a way, Europe have that advantage where they can play so regularly because they're so close, they're neighbours. You're kind of playing the same competitors if you're just playing within your own continent. Like we
Mm.
have the whole of Europe where they have so many different teams from like, France may have their own league where they might have, 20 teams and they have that league. And then on top of that, they then have the Euro League. Whereas I guess America is the same and Africa is the same in that sense, where they only have, their respective countries and then they move, or their respective states and then they move around to those. So like how do you bridge that gap? I guess that goes back to the funding issue, I suppose. Like we've spoken about that before.
As well, yeah, and you guys have got me wishing I paid more attention in GCSE geography now because I'm like, Nigeria, so what are the distances? No, but I think it's very some of the challenges are the same. You have the same, maybe like travel difficulties, some economic challenges as well. And it's one of the things I really admire the work that IFAF is doing in terms of how to bridge some of those gaps, fill some of the holes in the foundation or whatever to make sure everyone is at a high basic standard of play, of education within flag, especially. Um, but it's right. It's like I think for many years now we've been hearing rumors of African teams coming to some of the European tournaments and seeing if there's maybe more of a middle ground. I know we're gonna go on to talk about like the last week in Turkey and what an amazing that experience was, but maybe that's the middle ground, or is it the kind of Cairo's in Egypt or the south of Spain? Where there's that bit of a closer bridge to from a travel standpoint. Um, but Phoebe, you're right. The more that can be done to encourage that international competition, and just sometimes it's just as little as um, allowing people to experience what a tournament in Europe is like, or for Europeans to experience what a tournament in Africa, or going out towards Asia, or back all the way out west to the States is, because they're all very different experiences in my experience. Um, but I mean, either way, what a wonderful advert for the sport of flag, and how reassuring is it to know that actually the sport is continue to grow all over the world, and I think it's just amazing.
And it's such a high caliber as well. It's so
Mm.
nice to see teams really, really stepping up. And it's nice to see those competitors emerging because I think there was a time where maybe we thought that there may be certain teams that would sort of wash out others. But the more time we've got leading up to the Olympics, the more time we've got leading up to, the bigger flag tournaments, I think you can see
Mm.
there's some real standout competitors coming along to get this medal and it's great to see.
And I know Phoebe glossed over it briefly, but like that score, I know, has got a lot of eyes on it. That Canada men's versus USA men's, Canada men's winning. I know a lot of people are trying to find that film to watch it to see what happened and what it
NFL
is.
calling Justin Jefferson right now.
which which a lot of the guys on the USA men's team are not going to be happy to hear, because there's been so much talk, right? There's been so much, like, who should just, put his money where his mouth is and said, hey, I'm better than these NFL players, or at least I feel disrespected by these NFL players who are saying, we would love to play if we had the chance. But
People are coming to
everyone
win.
knows, everyone knows now that they lost to Canada, it's the equivalent of, well, if the Canada basketball team, and I always refer back to basketball because it's just an easy comparison. But a lot of people, all the people that were like naysaying, have just had fuel added to their fire, and it's going to be a very interesting conversation, honestly.
Oh, slightly off topic, but because you said basketball, OKC won their
Yeah.
first round. My husband was very, very happy. He's an OKC fan, stayed up until 4 a.m.
To watch it
Had a
all.
nice emotional moment.
Did he? I think there was
Shout
a.
out.
I think NBA Europe had a template letter on their Instagram, which was just a letter asking for the day off, or apologizing for the day off for all the NBA fans in Europe, because it was going to be a late night. Game 7, like, wow, what a final, what a final!
Oh, tell me about
And
it.
Halliburton getting that injury in Game 7. What a
Oh,
tragic end to that story. Like,
I know. You
that's
could see it as
that's
well when they were playing the replays. Like that was horrible to watch, man. You
yeah,
make it through
yeah,
all 6 games, and then on your seventh game, like you're in the first quarter. Oh, yeah,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah, tragic. But
But also, it's
segue.
been cool. Like the NBA has taken over in London, taken over Trafalgar Square. Like big sports are all around now, which is pretty fantastic. And I know we mentioned it earlier, Ken, but the past week you've been out in Turkey delivering a level 1
Yeah.
qualification. I mean, that is, first off, it's probably the most thorough level 1 flag football qualification I've ever kind of been a part of. But
I appreciate
talk to us a little
that.
bit about that. I mean, you
No,
did a
thank you.
fantastic
Yeah.
job.
First of all, because they will kill me if I don't say it. It's Turkey now, as of 2023. We don't say it's not the bird anymore. It's Turkey. But wow, what an experience! What a lovely group of super dedicated people. The course was 4.5, basically 5 days long. And they worked hand in hand with their government, to facilitate the course for so many coaches. I think there were 42, maybe 45 coaches all in all. Some coaches who were new, some super experienced coaches, but all looking to begin the process of official qualifications. So having actually I mean, we went, because we had the time as well, so we went into a lot of depth over many different topics in and around flag football specifically. So it was like a dream to wake up every morning and be like, I've got a whole day to talk about people to talk with people, so who want to learn about flag. And I think, like with most of the best experiences out there, like, I ended up learning, I would argue, maybe even more from them than maybe that I would have taught or helped facilitate. And wow, what people like really sacrificed to be there, gave up to be there, Monday to Friday basically for a course, staying in hotels and stuff like that. I really appreciated it, and they were so welcoming, so it just felt really warm to be a part of. And then, like, food, amazing. I have to have my
Oh, agree.
amazing
That's the
food,
best kind
amazing
of
food.
food ever,
It
man.
was, but it was like they had this. I do not know her name. It's really bad, but they had this lady who like was the chef for the federation. So I mean, the way they're organized is really, it just makes a lot of sense. They have under the federation, under the big umbrella of the federation, they have, I think it's 7, 8, maybe 9 sports, but all under the same federation. So there's one president, and then all the vice presidents are then all the heads of the individual sports. But tackle, flag, softball, baseball, cricket, rugby, like it, all of them under, even wrestling, all under one roof. And it just means they're able to share resources and share people, and Yeah,
Like
shout out
Sweden
to
does too.
Pod, sorry.
Sweden has Swe three.
Similar, yeah. So, but they're that's only three, or maybe I think they have four in their Sweet Three now. But the more, I just think it was a really good way of looking at um the whole piece of the sport as of all the different sports, sorry, as it goes through. But I really want to say a big thank you publicly to Selçuk, who is the vice president and the head of flag, to Simge, who was our international, she's their international kind of coordinator, but super helpful with translators. And then I can't shout out every because some of them are going to kill me because I'm not saying everyone's names, but my number one translator, Coach Honor, who was just amazing and very patient with me as I got through the language, and Coach Mert as well, who is a mind that I really want us to find a way to introduce to European football because some of the stuff he's doing, that this is not the we can't go into it now because it's in so much depth, but he's
Signed an
doing
NDA.
really really he's doing some amazing, really in-depth work all around flag football, So I've ranted, but it was an amazing week spent with like-minded people, people wanting to learn about coaching and get better. And for me, that's the best kind of person, people who are dedicated to developing themselves, but so that they can then go on to develop other people. Like that's the biggest thing. I watched an Instagram video this morning that was all about like, don't look for what makes you the most money, look for how you can serve other people. And that was a whole week spent with people looking to serve others. Like it was perfect, absolutely
But
perfect.
that's ultimately what makes you a good like coach in general though, right? Is like this like you aren't stuck where you were, 10 years ago. You're constantly looking for ways to develop and evolve and like it's amazing that you've had the opportunity to go out there and
Yes, I thought you were talking about what makes me, Kenny, a good coach, but you were talking about general, what makes one a good coach.
you as
I,
well,
I
yeah.
was
What
no, no,
makes
it's too
Kenny
late. Sorry,
great?
don't. No, 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 no,
Constantly
no. Thank
evolving.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. I'll look for when you give me compliments. I'm going to keep an eye out now.
I think one of the cool things of being out there was, you had 42 coaches. And honestly, I was so impressed with the diversity and with the like youth within that room. It wasn't like some of the other coaching associations that I've seen or been around before. There were so many young people who were so dedicated to learning and asking questions and being curious. And, I think that's such a great sign for the future of the sport. And I really think Turkey is going to be a dangerous team in the future. They won Copenhagen Bowl not
Copenhagen
too
Ball, yeah,
long ago.
yeah.
And so, yeah, definitely one to keep an eye on. And before we head out to Germany, I want to kind of bounce back because we had one more other tournament going on at the same time this past weekend. Huge shout out to the WNFC. I've been one of their ambassadors for a couple years now, and my girl OJ absolutely killed it. If you don't follow Odessa Jenkins, like y'all are missing out because her energy and what she has done with this league is wild. And I know that our girl, the kid in America here, is a WFAer. However, to see what happened this past weekend, it was on ESPN2 for the first time they've had really female tackle football being on a
Mhm.
big stream like that. Jennifer King, my other girl on the sideline doing sideline reporting.
Yes,
I mean, just flexing on everyone. Desiree Abrams,
she was
our
on
head.
replay.
Oh, I mean, like, this is crazy. I mean, for you, yes, you're in the States, you're living and breathing women's tackle football. Like, what did this past weekend look like? I mean, when you guys were checking in.
So it was honestly a really, really good weekend. So we watched the Prodigy game, Prodigy versus Texas game, and the whole thing from start to finish was amazing. So they played in the Cowboys training facility, the Dallas Cowboys training facility, which in itself is like incredible that they managed to get that facility. It was obviously then streamed on ESPN2. It was also the first time that they'd used live replay as like a valid uh like way to referee the game. So it's not valid here usually, even if the team has the ability to do so, they usually don't. But it was the first time that they did it in the championship game, and honestly, it was the craziest thing. So they punted, Prodigy punted away. One of their players, as they touched the ball down, kicked the ball. And then Texas picked the ball up and ran with it. And then the rest were like, no, no, we called it dead. We called it dead. And they obviously used the replay because yeah, I actually think it was Odessa who picked it up. She was like, "No, I'm pretty sure Washington touched the ball," and the rest were like, "No, no, they didn't." And she was like, "I'm challenging it, like throw the replay." And when I say it was the slightest of touches, it literally bounced. It touched the inside of her foot, and then she put her hands on it to mark it down, and then walked off. But Texas obviously saw the kick. It's so insane, and just to think that like in women's football in general, like women, like that we were able to use that technology because that's unheard of. Like it's not something that either of the leagues use, WFA or WNFC. And then on top of that, I believe, now I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I saw the quarterback doing this. I'm pretty sure they had in-ear headsets as well, which
No
again
way.
is insane because we spend so much time, obviously, quarterback or running back, like using their legs to bring in balls, or you've got the signaling. But I'm 90% sure that Texas quarterback was doing this with her helmet, so I'm pretty sure she had a headset as well. Again, another piece of like amazing technology. I think, sometimes there are, nice friendly rivalries between the WFA and the WNFC, but like both leagues are paving the way in like their own way. But the WNFC really, set us up for, we better have a good championship run and we better do some good stuff because they really, really put women's football generally, flag and tackle, on the map this weekend. It was absolutely brilliant to watch.
They did, and Bow Wow performed. I'm like, what
He
is
did
happening out here? Like, Bow Wow is back.
at the halftime show.
I love this. I love this so much. And of course, Texas winning, but it was a tight score, 21 to 19.
21-19.
It
And
is
it's
wild.
all a game of defense. Like the second half, they barely scored. I think Washington scored once, but no one scored on the second half. And it was honestly that punt that changed everything. And it was like 2 minutes left,
Wow.
and then Texas knelt it out. And when when your heart breaks for a team because you're just like, oh, because those games are always the juiciest because it could have been anyone. Because had Texas, not won that challenge or that replay hadn't have been there, that game would have been prodigies potentially, like because the QB had just started throwing some absolute balls. They just started establishing their run game, which they'd really been struggling with throughout the game. And then they came back after half time. They were like, no, we're going to win this game. And actually, all of a sudden, the tide shifted, and we were all watching like, damn, I think this could be it. I think everything's going to change. But no, it was absolutely brilliant.
And you also had the WNFC flag game going on as well. I mean, that's something that they've really started just doing the past couple of years. It's kind of like an all-star kind of game essentially, but you're just you're starting to kind of create these like real pathways, whether it's engaging through flag or engaging through tackle, and then they start playing flag. Like there's a lot of crossover that's happening now.
Yeah, so another really close game, Denver, Las Vegas, so 20-15 in Denver's favor. But again, at the same facility. So they used the whole weekend. So they had the WNFC final, tackle final to sort of headline their Saturday, and then on Sunday they had the flag game followed by their version of like the All-Star game. Um, absolutely brilliant game. They split the facility up into three separate pitches and they had them all going at once. And some of the highlights from that game are absolutely insane. The scores across the board all the way through were incredibly close and some amazing talent. Again, look, Team USA, you guys have got to watch out because some of these girls, like, they're coming for you.
All
And they
right.
play both. They play tackle and flag because a lot of girls now I think are using tackle season as their run out. So, they get nice and warm for the flag season playing tackle, and then they're like, yes, I'm ready. Let me take off my kit. Now I'm as warm. Haha,
Like the
like-
taking off the weighted vests and stuff. No, shout out though to because the Cowboys. That's not they. I think they do quite a lot in terms of like allowing the use of the facilities for community events, other leagues and stuff. But is that quite a common thing for NFL teams to work with the community like that?
Yes, it's getting there. So, a couple of years ago, I know the Patriots had a really good relationship with Boston.
Okay.
So they used their jet. The Patriots gave Boston their jet to fly them over to Ohio.
You mean Boston the team, not just
Yeah,
Boston. I was like,
The
No,
Boston
No,
no,
Renegades,
the
the
yeah.
Renegade.
Boston.
Sorry.
Okay, I got you. Yeah.
But they use that. So there have been a few crossovers. I think the biggest issue is usually when we start, they're on off season. So to
Mm,
unless it's the sort of the UFL, which is the other sort of men's professional league,
oh, yeah.
it's really difficult to sort of build those relationships in the off season because especially if you have players that don't live in the state that they play in,
Mm,
they all sort of like disapparate and
disperse. Yeah.
spend time with their family, or maybe, some of them are attending sort of flag competitions and stuff. So they're doing other things. So it's when you make those links, you have to spend a lot of time with them. But we do have a good relationship, our team personally, with the defenders, the UFL defenders. Lois Cook, one of the girls who plays for Washington's number 18, she works really closely with them. So we have a really good relationship with them. Hopefully one day the commanders are going to turn around and be like, "Hey, we play in the same colors. We love you.
Might as well.
Yes,
Might as well.
at halftime, why didn't you play a game? And we'll be like, yeah, no problem."
Oh, that's epic. I guess to kind of go from that side of the pond back across into Europe, just hit on Big Bull a little bit. Obviously, Ken, you were there with Team Spain. Talk to us a little bit about how the weekend went for you.
First of all, I've got a bone to pick with the organizer. No, no, no. I think it's super tough. The
Only one shot per
Wanderers.
episode, Kenny.
Okay, okay, okay. Have I
I
used one already? Have I used one already?
don't know, but
No,
let's
no,
just
no. Yeah,
say that they have.
I'm saving. No, 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 no. Obviously Ben Clever is the kind of head, but the all the organizers in Waldorf always do such a great event. The weather was it was hot. It was hot out there, but well, it always makes for such a nice event. Um, as I said, my team in particular came a cropper, but we lost to the Misfits, which was a great team. Which
Shout
we
out Jugglebed. Woo!
and
Sorry,
but
had to
not
be done,
just
had to be
Jochebed.
done.
So, and I'm just a bit of
Yeah,
an
don't worry.
interesting conversation here because they had three Russian players on the team, the Misfits, right? Two of who are very, I did so it was the quarterback and then two wonderful players, Daniela and Alex, who are just great ambassadors. They travel everywhere with the sport. But it's really interesting, and sorry to go off topic here, but it's really interesting currently. I know, it's not for us. I don't think this is a platform to get political or anything like that. But from the players' standpoint, obviously Russia is still not allowed to take part in international competitions because some of the conversations over the weekend inevitably turned to the fact that, hey, like if Russia was in the European Championships, like they would be another team to contend with. The same way we're talking about Turkey, and the same way we're talking about if I say the more established teams, GB, France, Germany, Spain, um, because the level of football is really rising. But I think it's just a real. I feel for them. It's not the same thing, but wanting to compete and not being able to compete because of situations outside of your control is definitely something I can speak a little to this year in particular. But oh well, like wow, like I think anyone who watches them play, um, what players, what absolute players, like can throw, can run, played offense, defense, and their team wasn't that big either. They had like I think nine, maybe 10 players total. Really great team. I said like it's my line. I'm sticking to it. If we beat them, we would have gone unbeaten for the tournament and won it. And I challenge anyone to tell me different. But no, no, it was a great tournament, great fun. Um, it's just always a really good atmosphere. Big Ball, always really good environment, and love it. And they do a really good job. They stream like they have six fields, and they live stream all six fields, which is a feat in and of itself. Um, and it makes for a lot of really good game film afterwards. So lots of research, lots of data going on into like trying to figure out because the French national team was there in some guys or other. The Spanish team, ours was there in some guys. Um, Czechia were out there, although they were missing some of their. I think everyone's missing some players in some way, shape, or form. Um, but no, and then in the final, like I don't know if how many of the Team GB were represented in the final?
I think probably seven off the top of my head. It might be seven or eight. And
Mm,
yeah, the French women's national program. I know the men's had a camp this past weekend as well. But
mm,
yeah, it was great to see, just an opportunity to play together. And it was interesting. I know we were saying if you go somewhere as a national program to compete in kind of like not like a local competition, but not one that's like IFAF sanctioned, it's almost like a lose-lose situation for you
yeah,
because
absolutely.
if you go as Team Spain, for example, or Team GB, you go and you win, they're like, well, yeah, you have the national program, you should win.
You're supposed to win,
Or
yeah.
if you go and you lose and it's like, we beat the national program, So
Yeah,
it's like you
yeah.
just can't
Yeah,
win.
So and it's very interesting because the thing, so my if there is one actual genuine frustration I have with Big Ball, and I don't think it's anything they can do to change it, it's the timing. So IFAF games are like 20-minute halves. The last 2 minutes of each half are we call it a pro clock. So the clock stops if we go out of bounds or on incomplete passes, and you have two timeouts per half. Um, there's in Big Bowl, it's just I think it's like a 12-minute running clock, like, and it doesn't stop for anything. And 12 minutes in real time goes by like
it goes for
that
so
in a
long.
game. So in Big Bowl, you have to play, it's one of two ways. You have to either play perfect football or not make any mistakes, which is maybe akin to playing perfect football. One is more risky, basically. Um, And if you don't, like, it's so hard. If once you've made a mistake or once something goes wrong for your team, like, it's so hard to come back because there's just time is then just against you, against you, against you. So, I would love to see because for me, then it's not an accurate representation of any of the teams there because the way you would play in an IFAF game that's a lot longer, you have a lot more time to build the game properly, and work on stuff like as you go through. You don't have that time in Big Ball. So I would love to see those national programs in actual games, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. But the reasons the national programs go to these competitions is because there's nowhere else to compete as a national program, really and truly.
So
Um,
without giving away any team secrets, then how would you play a perfect game in this scenario? Because you said perfect game and one's without no mistakes. So
mhm.
to the
So
rookie, you're probably saying the same thing twice, but
no,
obviously
no,
you're
no. So
not saying
one,
it at all.
so one, you can play one way where it's just like we have to make sure they blink first. So that's a very safe way of playing. But you basically sit and cover three the whole game. You make
Yeah.
sure there's no deep shots. You try to make them make mistakes, right? So that's like, for me, that's not going after the kill. That's like playing super safe, which, it makes sense. The flip side of that is actually you go after it. You are the killers. You are like, you're taking the shots, and it's going through that way. And that's the little distinction for me. Like that's how I balance it out, if that makes any sense.
And what's your preference?
There's no for there's a lot that goes into it in terms of why are we there with Spain? Like, with no disrespect to anyone whatsoever, winning Big Ball would be a byproduct of doing the stuff we were there to do. So we
Got
were
you.
there to try stuff. We were there to work on kinks and but like we're not there to win it. If we're there to win it, we don't, we maybe play a safer way than trying to take more risks. But I'm like, no, I need to see because as I said, like we don't have that many more opportunities now till the European Championship. So there's stuff we need to work on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that
Highlight of
was
the weekend?
fun.
Highlight of the weekend?
Oh, that's a great question.
Oh, thanks.
A great question.
She's
No,
a pro.
first of all, there was a little girl that might maybe 3 years old at most, slinging the ball. They had the
She
kids come on
was.
at halftime in the finals. I mean, the little tiny ones doing some flag pulling, and there's one girl that was throwing. I think she just threw dot after dot. She was throwing to like two older girls or whatever, but super confident. Just stood there. She was like, "Yep, I've got the ball. Sling it." Like eight completions back to back. It was really cool to see. That was good. Highlight of the weekend. Randomly, I say randomly, it may not be that random. Indianapolis Colts had a setup there as well, and Blue, the mascot, was there, who is always lots of fun, likes a little dance, does Blue. Um, but honestly, I think it's seeing everyone. Like it's such a great place to meet up and make new acquaintances, reignite old ones, and it's easy to keep in touch on socials, but there's nothing still like being in the same places and having the same conversations.
Mm.
Um, and it's really cool because like people we've known for a number of years now, and especially teams we've known for a number of years, keep improving, and it's like, oh wow, you are getting better. This is growing, like, this is working. So it always just leaves me feeling energized, after I
Nice.
slept for a day or two.
Talking of being in the same places, hopefully we'll be back together for an in-person episode very soon.
Soon, soon, soon,
Yes,
soon,
yes.
soon.
Fingers crossed for it. We need to get the squad back together. It's so great to be back together. I mean, yes, of course, it was great to be in Germany. I think next year we need to have What the Flag out in Germany. Weirdly, I was also
Get
listening.
t-shirts.
And yes, and we can do that. We'll do our What the Flag t-shirts in Germany. It'll be fantastic. You will love it. Honestly, you will have the best time. Yes, we'll get the whole squad out there. Um,
Nice.
we've got HR Matt who was playing as well with the Irish national program. I joined
Woohoo!
the mixed Atlantic Devil, so shout out to Choose for
we,
letting me.
we.
That's a very,
Wow. I
ambiguous.
caught, I caught, I caught an extra point with one hand.
Let's
That's about all I
let's
did.
just talk about something
All
else
right,
No,
that
okay.
let's not,
Kenny
let's
Bella
not.
did.
There's no need.
Oh,
There's no need.
Since we have live
There's
stream footage of all the fields, I feel like we could probably get this pulled up. We were playing a game, and I thought, you know what? I said to the guys, "Oh, did you know Kenny can do double QB if you need him to?" Tell me the next drive, first play from your own five, they go double QB. Kenny throws the ball to the other team. Pick six. First play, one for one.
nice. Proud of you, Ken.
Yeah.
Add it to your CV.
passer rate in 153 point or 152.3 or whatever it is. That was one pass, one touchdown. I'm done. There's no minus or plus, so it worked.
It was, yeah, it really was
I
great.
wish I could explain it, but yeah, it was just bad. It was bad.
Right, you were just trying to make a pass and it was successful. So
It was.
Yeah,
Someone caught it.
Honestly, I explained to the guys, look, on it, hands down, I spend a lot of time watching women's flag, okay? And women's flag and men's flag, two different sports, completely. Plays that work in women's flag don't work in men's flag, and vice versa. The thing that I do really well as a coach is I'm able to slow things down. So when I'm watching it, all slows down for me. But it just so happened that when I was throwing the ball on the field, the defenders were not moving in slow motion. They were moving like
so you're throwing like,
they were moving.
And then you see the catch, you're like,
oh
no.
If you see the replay, dude was moving long before I threw the ball. Like he knew exactly where I was throwing that ball, and he just jumped it.
Did it hit with a double fake? Ooh, ooh.
No. It was like pressure.
Yeah.
We listen and we don't judge.
Judging.
First of all, yeah, lots of judging happening here.
You talk too hard to not be judged, Kenny.
Oh no.
And last shout out Munich Spotson for letting me join in on their women's team. It was super cool, but it was our whole flag football family. I wish we could name all of you because you were all amazing and just so excited to see more, be around more flag people. And just like that, guys, that wraps up this wild weekend of sport around the world. Massive thank you, of course, to the kid in America, Yaz, and the Kenny Bello. Look, make sure you like, subscribe, ring the bell. We'll see you next Wednesday for more What the Flag.